Oh wait, I realized I was just fucking muted the entire time. But yeah, what I was saying is that I've been very, very guilty of this one particular thing, of not wanting to look stupid in front of my coworkers as a junior engineer. But at the same time, it's kind of weird, where let me fix the screen here. It's weird because you really value the job and you really don't want to fuck up and look bad, but only because. But then it ends up becoming like a self fulfilling prophecy where you end up saying, "Oh yeah, I fucked up. Am I gonna get fired for it?" It happens to everyone, I think. This fear of looking bad, but it's really only when there is something of value at stake. I think that's the primary difference. If it's for reputation's sake, then it's just like whatever. And I think most people are like that. But when it's like a job you worked really, really hard for, then it's like, yeah, and you really don't want to lose it, then I can understand that fear. I think that is a little bit more prevalent. Let's see, I try to be careful to avoid this failure mode when onboarding interns, yeah. It takes me up to 6 weeks to convince people that it's okay for them to ask questions, yeah. I mean, it's human nature, right? It's like you don't want to look bad. Um, and in my opinion, I think the onboarding process is like once you've done it enough times, you realize, oh shit, yeah, everything is like much harder than it seems. And even in teams where you actually don't, how to describe it, in teams where even they supposedly know things, it's sometimes they don't know every single detail and they'll still look stupid. But that's the whole part of like software engineering or life in general, I guess. It's like in almost every circumstance, the person has at least interned at other companies, but they hadn't learned it, and it was okay to ask. But they haven't learned that it was okay to ask questions. Yeah, I mean, you go through the professional environment the first few times, you eventually get the hang of it and realize, yeah, not everything is known. So, if you're a junior engineer at a place where it's not okay to ask questions, you should look for a new job. I would completely agree with this. When learning, deliberately playing around in an area between success and failure. I'm going to examples like when learning to climb, repeatedly trying the same easy moves over and over again, and understand various ways what works and what doesn't. Yeah, I would say that there's a little bit of a caveat to this because sometimes, especially in a game, there's there's like an infinite number of possibilities and what's it called moves that you can make. And at some point, you just end up picking the wrong ideas or focusing on the wrong ideas. And if I gave someone an infinite amount of time, they'd probably figure it out. But the fact of the matter is that human memory is pretty shit, and you learn the wrong things. And so, even though this is like, I would say 30-40% of it, trying to learn new things, it's the ability to really learn and filter out what works and what doesn't properly. And that's kind of the point he's trying to make. I would say that at the very least, you do need to have the attitude and not be afraid to look stupid. The other part is that you need to, I guess, be kind of wired for it. And I can talk a little bit more about this, but there's just certain things that no matter what your attitude is, you're not going to be super successful at. And that's just kind of the nature of things and nature of humans as well. Like for example, I think Warren Buffett even said this, where he was like wired to be naturally a really, really good value investor. But if he had tried his hand at being a hunter gatherer and he was born maybe 5,000 years ago, he wouldn't probably have done so well. So it's like that's the process it takes, but there's also a natural inclination and a way to learn. At least for me, like software engineering comes very, very easily to me because everything is deterministic and it's very easy to reverse engineer and understand things. But with things like investments and even some games where things are non-deterministic, it can be very, very bad for me because it's essentially being fooled by randomness and not being able to fully learn or understand the right things. So it can get. So I'd say it's kind of weird here. This is only like half the picture. Generally, not perhaps adversarial interviews, but I try to say things that I think are true and avoid saying things that I think are false. And this frequently causes interviews to think that I'm stupid. Yeah, I mean, if you really only try to say the right things, then you're only going to say the simple things that are super obvious. So it kind of makes sense. And that's kind of comes with having an opinion. Generally admitting when I'm bad or untalented at stuff. Yeah, he learned to program in the past. The interview at Jane Street really dug into what I'd written in the post and tore me a new one for that post. Yeah, it was the most hostile interview I've ever experienced by a large margin. Yeah, but it's like when you're earnest and you put yourself out there, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn from some people who will really give you honest feedback. So I think that kind of goes in line with what I was saying before, that there are certain things that you are wired for, but as long as you put yourself out there, you will make some level of improvement, whether it's incrementally or not. Yeah. So, do you try to avoid looking stupid? This post caused me to realize I'm actually very bad at this, at least compared to you, but also bad in general. I asked myself, why can't Dan just avoid saying things that make him look stupid, specifically in interviews? Then I started thinking about the mental process involved in must look like in order for that to be impossible, and realized there must be extremely different from mine. Then tried to think about the last time I did something that made someone think I was stupid, and realized I didn't have a readily available example. Yeah. It's like, but I think I run into someone who thinks that I'm an idiot in some way, and that's obvious to me around once a week. Yeah. Yeah, I have my own quirks as well, where I look insanely stupid, but it's like, I'm willing to be wrong. That's mostly what it boils down to. If you always think you're right, then, you can't really see the world around you. If you don't regularly have people thinking that you're stupid, I think it's likely that at least one of the following is true. You have extremely filtered interactions with people and interact only with people of your choosing, and you filter out any people who have the reaction described in this post. Yeah, if you don't have fucking honest people who are better and smarter than you, then you're probably not going to improve at anything. If you count internet comments, then you do not post things on the internet or do not read internet comments. You are avoiding looking stupid, yeah. You are not noticing when people think you're stupid, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I ask some pretty dumbass questions myself, dude, and I'm openly willing to admit that. So, either way, I would say that there is just like I'm actually very curious about this one. He says I was arguably number one in the world one season. Who the fuck is I don't know who the fuck is this guy? I'm curious about Dan Liu. You probably okay. Who's it? Let's see his Twitter. I'm very curious about him. Dan Liu, Less Tech, Alti account. The thing is that even though what he says sounds right, my question is, what qualifies him to really talk like this? It's one thing to say, oh yeah, this sounds right, but then for it to be right is a completely different topic. Let me give you an example. It's very easy to be very good. I would say like to be better than 30% of people out there at an activity if you literally just read the basics. Someone who is like talented versus untalented. Let's say they're untrained, right? And then if that untalented person literally just reads the basics, practices the basics, and maybe spends like 100 hours, he's going to be up here, And he's going to be up here after some amount of time. And that 30% is what most people actually just end up only being stuck around, They just like mostly stay here, and this is like where the just consuming information is going to get you. Like this is like the beginner courses that a lot of these YouTubers and people shill out, right? And as long as you can just make that jump, then you're probably going to be better than like 30% of people out there. But it's really this 70% that's remaining. That's all execution, and that can never be like just read. You have to also try and apply it too. And some people just straight up are not good at applying it. And that's kind of the nature of things. So I'm very curious, like, who the hell is this guy to even like write this? What he's saying is not wrong, but it's like what qualifies him to be, to even talk to people like this. So I'm very curious. It doesn't really say much about him. I mean, he looks relatively young, so maybe he like straight up. I would say like maybe in his mid-30s, or I would say early 30s. I'm not quite sure. I'm very curious. Okay, so I do have my client showing up in about 5 minutes. So if there's anyone in the chat who like has any questions for me about coding interviews, engineering, or what I've just read, I'm open ears right now, and I'm available to answer any of your questions. Audio is dead. Okay, yeah. Oh, hi Sean. What's up? All right. All right. Okay. I remember seeing him have a lot of blog posts. Yeah. I think for some reason this Dan Liu guy, he gets cited a lot for a lot of like self-improvement shit. But to me, it's like it's so geared towards that it almost sounds fake in its own way. You know what I mean? Like, let's take a look at this. Like, for instance, if you're looking at gaming keyboards and sell them, blah blah blah. Was this the one? He measured. Okay, so he measured this. Actually, I'm curious. So it seems like he's been writing for since 2013. Writing Verilog is weird. I don't know. It looks like he's like some hardware engineer, but I want to say like he reads a lot. He sounds like someone who's very academically smart, but I don't know who he is or what he's done in life to make him qualified to talk a lot about self-improvement, you know? Like, I like these, I would say I like these blogs where he talks about the tech, why Intel added cache partitioning. This is pretty cool. Like, this guy is definitely very smart and very, very, he studies things in details, but also, it's like I kind of want to know more about his background. You know, it's one thing to be academically smart. It's another thing to actually apply things and be smart at that and be smart at the execution. Yeah, I guarantee you that like something like this, most people don't give a fuck about. Don't give a flying fuck about. Only because like oh, it's so hard to understand, and you know, like to actually dig in and read all this shit. Like this takes someone who really really cares about these details and someone who really wants to learn. So I give him a lot of points for that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not flaming this guy, but it's like, what more, like why should I trust this guy on execution? That's kind of my big thing here. Advantages of mono repos. Yeah. Here's the thing. Okay. I'm gonna make some comments about this mono repo idea because this is something that I've discussed with our staff engineer, and we've talked to a lot of like people from Facebook and Google. So. Google has this mono repo where it's actually a bunch of smaller repos that composite a mono repo. And so this kind of makes sense because even though everyone's committing to the mono repo, everyone can see what the other teams are doing, right? And so because of like the mono repo is actually a composite of a bunch of smaller repos, you actually don't run into a lot of merge conflicts because, you know, let's say I'm contributing to the a Google app, Google Android app, right? And then someone else is committing to a backend microservice. Well, these two live in the exact same repo. So, you will never run into merge conflicts here. But with places like Facebook and Google and like Uber, you actually have 2,500 Android engineers contributing to the exact same repo, you know? And so and like the exact same code base. So they could all be working on a code base that builds, let's say, the Facebook app. Now, what does this entail? What is the problem here? The problem is now that you have a exponentially higher chance of running into merge conflicts. This is why Facebook has Arcanist instead of a GitHub workflow. With a GitHub workflow, all you really do is just merge shit in, and then that's it. You just like merge it in. Whereas Facebook and Google, we use whereas Facebook and Uber, we use Arcanist, which is built off of Rebase. Now, why does this difference matter? Well, Rebase is definitely much more complicated because, you know, suppose that your branch is out of date, right? You have all these merge conflicts that you have to run the rebase against, and then if you have any current conflicts here, then you have to resolve it, then move on and resolve it, and hope that none of the subsequent changes actually breaks that rebase. And whereas with the git merge, it's just like, oh, well, are these two code snippets are different? Boom, merge, move on. You know? And the reason why we do the rebase is because it makes things a little bit more deterministic and cleaner. So, for instance, if there's a downstream dependency in, like, a GitHub, and then you merge it in, then even though the two changes by themselves might actually be okay, and they get merged in, they might actually, together, break the downstream dependency. And so that's the problem with a git merge workflow. But you don't really run into this issue at Google, because, again, like I said, the mono repo is composed of smaller repos. So you very rarely run into a situation where people step on each other's toes. Whereas with a huge mono repo, the rebase is necessary, so that way you can guarantee correctness of solutions. Now, do you run into issues downstreams after you rebase? Yes, but it's much less likely because rebase compared to merge is much more atomic. So that one little detail of like the nature of mono repos actually really determines a lot of tooling. In fact, like Facebook is so dedicated to Arcanist that they have an internal fork, an internal team completely dedicated to actually really maintaining this tool. You know, like they are so committed into making sure these rebases work that their Arcanist fork is light years ahead of like what the public version of Arcanist is. So this actually ends up being quite significant. I can talk more about this later, but it's 9 p.m. Let me bring on my client and we'll review actually some of his replay, his practice.
Recording in progress.
And so for people who don't know, I had this guy on Monday, and we coached him. And so we're gonna look at his practice, a replay of his practice, and really evaluate that. So let's see what he has to say. Hey man, what's up?
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Yeah, how's your practice been since our last coaching session?
Yeah, it's been I would say okay. Like I've been going through API like you told me to.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I still kind of struggle with like kind of expressing my thoughts my thoughts like concisely. And kind of just walking through like you told me to. Like I'll be able to kind of solve questions, but it just doesn't feel like I'm doing like what you told me to do. But I'm just trying to get better at it. But I do feel a little more comfortable than when I first started on Monday night.
Okay, that's good. That we want to at least start building the habit. That's like what's important right now. So I'm looking through the doc. It's like, okay, running through the idea, running through your code before you actually go ahead and code it up. Like really just making sure that everything is rock solid. And I think I told you that to really treat this as if you only had one shot at the solution,
Yeah.
and to not do things in your head. So I'm assuming that you tried it. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is the complication here? What are you struggling with?
I guess I'm just like I'll have like different thoughts, like when I see a question and like there's a lot of things going on, and I try to like note them all down, but then it comes the notes tend to be kind of messy when I do write everything down. And with certain questions that I'm maybe a little more comfortable with, I think like I could organize my thoughts a little better and kind of express them better.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it comes to questions that I may be stuck with, it starts kind of getting all over the place. And I kind of stutter a lot because I try to like talk to myself as I'm practicing, but then like sometimes I would stutter a lot, and I feel like I'm kind of like repeating a lot of nonsense when I get stuck.
Do you notice this when you record yourself?
Yeah, even yeah, I did record myself, but also when I just like I don't even need to record myself to know that I'm just like kind of stuttering. So yeah, but I think I am feeling a little better than when I first started. Just like practicing actually speaking as I'm doing the question.
I don't expect like just this one thing to magically fix you. It's it's a process. There's a step 1, there's a step 2, step 3. And all we're really making sure is that you can perform step 1 really, really well, and we never have to come back and say, hey, I need you to really think through this problem again. I really need you to, like do the things I asked you to on the first week. If we can get past this and we can like master it, we never have to come back to it. So the point here, I'm going to check in your replay is really, are you doing what I've asked you to do? That's really it. Like, did you run through your code? Did you not do things in your head? Did you really try to test your idea? What you're talking about is more like how do I go through things step by step, right? And I think that's what you're struggling with. It's like, okay, I've run through my ideas, but I'm just like running through random ideas. There's no order or structure to what you're doing, and that's fine. We're going to talk about that like next week. We're going to talk about like ordering like from naive to optimal solution and going the step by step and logically evaluating solutions and what you're doing. But for now, let's actually see, like, I want to make sure that you are actually practicing what we've talked about. So do you have, like, a replay for me to look at, or?
Oh, I have a short one. How do so how am I going to show you the video on my phone?
Oh, so what you can do 2 things. You can upload to YouTube, or you can just send me the file.
Oh shoot. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how we were like what we're gonna replay today.
Okay. If you email it to me, then it's gonna be fine. I can download it and then put it on VLC.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This one is like about 12 minutes. It's not that long. Let me try to email.
That's fine.
This to you.
Okay, that's fine. In the meantime, I'll give you a little bit more of a run through about what to expect here. I think I gave you some homework, right?
Yeah. You gave me you told me to finish up that question.
The red tape, blue tape problem. Yes.
Yeah.
And then
I did.
Go ahead.
I continued to write on that Google Doc.
I
yeah,
see it.
that's what I did. Yeah.
I see it here. Yeah. Okay. So then the problem I remember you had like you were just trying. You weren't. You were. What's it called? You had like you were trying to fill in gaps or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, get
Yeah.
the gaps. So, okay, gaps if start or end is between red and start, red and blue sorted. Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay, compute the gaps that are closest to red. Compute all the gaps intersection. Okay. Let's say I can figure out the gap yeah, so then if you have I plus 1, overlap, gap between 2 pointers in red tape, I plus 1, there's the section between 2 9. Okay, so sort based on start key, check if red start is before the
Yeah.
first element, check red end is after
Yeah. So
last
that's just like
element.
a sanity check in case like the input is only one element, but that would still work because I'm checking against the last one, which would
Uh-huh.
be effectively the first one.
Uh-huh.
That's just in case like red is just out of the range of the entire blue
Mm-hmm.
list, and then if not, then we would just kind of iterate through all the tapes in the blue array.
Mm-hmm.
We just pick the current one and the next one, and based on the current one and the next one, we have the gap, and we just need to check if red falls in between that gap, and that's what I'm doing at the else section.
Mm-hmm. Got
check
it.
if it intersect with red.
Okay, so yeah, so you're just basically checking if if the red tape is showing in between gaps of the elements. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Red start. Okay, so let me just copy paste this output here, just to make sure I can follow along. Okay, so sort based on start key. Sure. Check if the red start is before the first element. Check if the red end is before the last. Okay, so iterate from range. So then the current blue and the next blue plus 1. Sure. If the current end is greater than the next current one, skip iteration. Okay.
That's if we have cases where we have 4 because we're sorting based on start key, but we may have cases where we get something like 4 9, and so if the current end is greater than the next start, then we can just skip it because we know there's no gap in between these two blue tapes.
Okay, but since you're only sorting on start key, what happens if you do this?
It would still work, right? Because 9 is still greater than 4.
Okay, let's see. Current end. So this is current. So this is cur. This is next, right? And then if the current end is greater than next stop. Okay, so you're not skipping iteration here because the current end. Oh, it's still greater. Yeah. Next to start. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, I guess since you have the precondition that everything's sorted, then that's fine. And then otherwise check if intersect with red. If the gap. Okay, so you're calculating the gap in between. All right. Yeah. I think this makes sense. Yeah. I mean, this is. I've definitely seen other ways of doing it, so this definitely makes sense here. My question to you is, how long did it take for you to really like nail this down?
I think this after I didn't try this immediately after we ended our session. I kind of came back to it like maybe an hour later, but I think it took me about like not more than 15 minutes to kind of nail this out. It was a little easier because I already had like some idea and it just kind of clicked, and so I just like because based on what we were talking before, it seems I already like had like some ideas here and there, but it's just like more of like organizing everything and compiling them together. For example, I wanted to check like the start element and the end element as well as like doing these checks that we mentioned here, but I wasn't sure how I would handle all of these cases with the least amount of code instead of having a lot of conditions. But then like when I started writing them down and kind of listing out some of these stuff, they started to come a little more natural.
Perfect. Yeah. That's perfect. Oh yeah, just let me know when when it's fully sent.
Yeah, it wasn't able to send, so I'm kind of uploading it right now. It's 30 something percent.
Okay.
Should be up on YouTube soon.
That's fine. But yeah, okay, that's perfect. Like what the fact that you said that the moment you wrote it down, it all clicked. That's perfect. This is what I want you to really get in. Because remember what I said before? Like, I want you to try out your full idea. I really want you to, like, drive it. Did you test it? Did you run through your idea? Like, writing it down is going to really help with that. Because then it's like, oh, yeah. Like, I don't have to, like, go in circles. I don't have to keep talking, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and
I wrote this down and I was writing stuff like initially I didn't even it wasn't even this clean. It was also checking
mhm,
um if red start and red end
mhm,
is like before the first element, and then like as I was looking at this, I was realizing like hey, like start is already gonna be before end no matter what. So if
uh-huh.
start is gonna be before first element start, then I don't even need to check this. And so it wasn't this clean initially, and so like I started like eliminating like some of the redundant stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up with what I have here right now.
That's fine. But yeah, like getting your ideas down on paper and really being able to say, "Hey, I had these ideas. Here's how I'm going to assemble them." Like that's the next step. But being able to just go through and actually put pen to paper and with these ideas is like really the first step. Because you notice like you said, it was easier to really understand it once you actually put pen to paper and you saw what your ideas. It was easier to move it around, right? Is things started clicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you weren't really doing that before. I think, if I remember right from our coaching session, you were still doing some stuff in your head. Like,
Yeah,
oh, maybe
like
this works.
yeah, pretty much like the whole time I was practicing, like because I mean, before I started the coaching with you, I was pretty much like I would just do it myself, and I would just like go on LeetCode, or like do grokking, and I would just kind of do it in my head because I wasn't really speaking. I mean, I write down some ideas, write some comments, but I wasn't really writing everything per se.
No, this is perfect. This is like literally what I want to see. Like, if you can make this a habit after the first session, that's good enough for me. Like, literally, I want you to do like just out of like these things I'm asking you to do. I'd be happy if you just do two. You know, drawing out your ideas out, not doing things in your head, and testing it. I'd be very happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's currently processing. It's already done uploading, but you know how YouTube takes
Yeah,
some time.
no problem. There's plenty of other things I can talk about now. Next thing, how did you test this code? What was your process of coming up with meaningful tests?
Okay, so I had a few cases. So I had the original one,
Yes.
this one over here. This is the typical case,
Mhm.
and then obviously I had this case as well, where some of them have the same start key, but it would overlap.
Uh-huh.
So those were the two main ones, and then the other ones I tested were when red is say at so imagine like we have this sorted, but these were all a lot bigger, and we have like 10 over here and 10 or 19, and then red would be somewhere a lot lower,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 or even 11, and I would just test like okay, how would I guard against this, and I could just basically before I even traversing it, I would just check this, and I was also checking the other part
Mm-hmm.
where this may be inside the blue list, but what if the end is like say 50? Then we know for sure. We just have to check the last one. And initially, I was like, okay, what do I do if the blue list has only one element? So instead of like checking, going through the entire, I would just like that's how I kind of came up with like this first initial check.
Okay.
I was just writing it down like the edge cases on both ends, and then slowly with the other ones, I kind of had to really like go through the code like one step by step. Like I was doing stuff like 1 2, and I was like, okay, now I'm at 1 2, and then the next one is 4 8. Okay, what is my gap? I would actually I was testing it by actually running it through with what I wrote. So I was like, okay, so gap start is not greater not greater than not greater than red start, so I will not do this. But I was doing something like gap end was within the red tape start.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna cut you off because I know what you're doing. But basically you're trying like essentially random ideas again a little bit, but it's not your fault because it's not something that we talked about. But essentially you're trying to test with like a little bit of random ideas here. And I would suggest that, and this is like, I don't expect you to do this, but this is more like like we'll work. I'll make you do this like next week at least. But if you want to add a little bit more effort into what you're doing, and if you feel comfortable with writing down all your ideas, and you can make that a habit, I want you to prioritize that. I don't want whatever I'm saying right now to detract you. I really want you to write out all your ideas. Is that you actually draw out what this looks like. So let me give you an example. So I see you. So for instance, let's suppose that this is my red tape, right? And this is my blue tape, right? So then what you're really measuring is the gap itself, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So then the next question is, what are all the different ways the blue tape gap can interact with the red tape gap, correct?
Correct.
So then if you are confident in your gap, then really all you need to do is test if the gap is not overlapping, or the gap is overlapping in some way. That's it. You know? And then, of course, then there's also the interactions with the blue tapes as well. So let's suppose that I have blue tape 1, blue tape 1, and then blue tape, and then, you know, blue tape 2. What happens if, like, you already established a condition of sorting. So you know that the tapes themselves are going to be, one tape's going to be before the other, right? So you're always guaranteed that because you have that sort. So which means that all you need to do is make sure that your blue tapes themselves can interact in the correct way. So it's like, are they overlapping? Are they at the edge here? Are they, you know, do they have that gap? So as long as you cover that, and then you cover the different ways that these blue and reds interact with each other, then you're golden. That's really what the testing boils down to. It's like, what are the components that interact with each other, and what are the different ways that they can interact? As long as you satisfy that. Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah, I wasn't really able to kind of like picture it like this way, like you just wrote it out. But my case was essentially, I was testing mainly 4 cases. So one was like this, where red is like sticking out over here. And then the other one was like kind of like this, where red will be sticking out in the end. And the other one was like if red was like a lot shorter where it falls between. So these are 3 cases, and the 4th one was just making sure like if 2 blue tapes are like at the same start, but one is longer than the other, do I still cover that? So those were like the 4 cases. I kind of thought it that way instead of like what you drew out over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. But yeah, like this is just like a preview of what's gonna come next. Anyway, I see your video. Do you have like what's on screen? Here, let me actually bring it up.
I have the text file, but it's the end of it rather than.
It's fine. Here, let me go. Let me see the.
I'll be given.
Here, let me just run. Let me look at this.
So question is reverse the single sublist.
Reverse single sublist.
Part of a linked list. I'll be given a singly linked list and 2 integers A and B, and I'm going to reverse the order of the nodes from the A node to the B node. So A and B are going to be the positions, or numbering positions of the nodes, and not actually like the node values.
Okay.
And the numbering is going to begin at 1, meaning the head node is going to be the first node. So it's not.
Okay, wait. Let me actually bring up the problem itself so I can see it, because it's kind of hard for me to. Let me. So which chapter is this?
Chapter 7. EPI. This is going to be page 87.
I'm in the Java one. So this is what's the name of it?
Reverse a single sublist 7.2.
Single sublist. Oh yeah. For me it's chapter 8, but yeah, that's fine. It works.
Okay.
Okay, I see. So for people who don't know, so this problem is connected with the reversing a sublist. See 8.4 for an example of a sublist reversal. Write an ART program which takes a singly linked list and 2 integers s and f as arguments. Okay, so you take a singly linked list and 2 integers s and f as arguments, and reverses the order of the nodes from the S node to the F node. Okay, so suppose that I was given like 3, 5, like this linked list here, 11, 3, 5, 7, 2, and they gave me 3 and 7. It would reverse 3, 5, 7 to 7, 3, 5. Correct? Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's see what you do.
V0 index. So this is pretty much like reversing the entire linked list. But if we're only going to reverse a subsection of it, what we can do is actually traverse the given list.
Okay, I need to see your your final thing.
First position.
Okay, I can send it over to you through Discord or something.
Yeah, just copy paste it in text and send it to me over Discord, and I'll bring it up.
Okay. Or I can just paste onto the document that we have up right now.
Yeah, that works. So let me actually go through your thoughts first.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You paste it in?
No, I'm copying it right now.
Yeah, in the future, I would recommend you record your screen like with OBS. It's a lot easier.
Okay. I wasn't sure like what you meant by recording. I thought you just meant like recording myself doing it, and then just so I could just like rewatch what I said.
Yeah, but it's like if you install OBS on your screen, then I can actually see your screen, you know, as you're doing this. So let's actually see like your yeah, I'll keep watching while you're doing this.
The previous node, and this previous node is going to connect to the end of the reverse. list,
Okay.
which would be the node at the B position. So once we hit that first position, so say we're given a list, linked list of with 5 nodes, and A and B are going to be 2 and 4. Once we hit the second node, we're going to reverse nodes.
Okay. So you're going off the book example, correct?
I'm not sure if your book's example is the same, but yeah, they have 5 nodes, and we're going switching the second and the fourth.
Okay, so I gave up the example of 11 3 5 7 2. Is that the one in your book too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure of that.
Yeah, I have 5 nodes, but the values are different, but essentially the positions are the same.
Okay, so let's see what you got here.
Position. So say we're given a list, linked list of with 5 nodes, and A and B are going to be 2 and 4. Once we hit the second node, we're going to reverse nodes from the second position to the fourth position.
Okay, so
because we
second,
have
fourth position.
the previous save, so we have we saved the first node. So let's actually do this with an example. So we have 1, 2, 3.
Let me know when you've pasted it in.
So
I pasted it in a
while
while
Oh, you've already pasted it in?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what you got here. Got it. Okay. So you said you traverse the linked list until we hit the first position. In the meantime, say the previous node, say the first node, and say the reverse node. Okay, cool. I'm okay with this opener, because you're kind of stating your idea. Traverse because you've made a relationship with another problem. Fine. So you save the first node, say the previous node, save the first node, reverse nodes from the second and fourth position. To me, like right now, the way you've written this is not clear.
Okay, so this was more just me writing that as I was going through the example. So I would save the previous nodes, and based on this example, I would have saved the first node and then reverse nodes from second to fourth position.
Okay.
But this also ties back to what I told you earlier about like I have ideas, and like I know, like I feel like how I want to do this in my head is clearer than how I ended up expressing it in words, or like when I wrote it out. If you get what I mean.
It means that you don't actually understand the idea. That's usually what it means. So let's go through. I'm going to keep watching your thing.
Okay.
So for me, the opener is okay. It's not immediately clear what you're doing, but it's okay for now. Let's see.
Turn is going to be head, and we have a counter that that is currently at 1.
Okay. You have a counter that's going at 1.
While the count is less than A, which is the first integer given, we just increment the count and we continue moving current equals current.next. This is assuming that the integers given are valid and that we're not going to reach the end of the list before hitting the first integer. So this was also handled in the case that first integer, A being 1, because we would just not do this entire section if we are given 1 to be the value of A.
Yeah,
so
I cannot read your screen at all, so this is like pointless.
Okay, my bad. I'll record my screen the next time.
Okay. And we would save previous as well.
Okay, but I see that you're keeping A as a counter and B is the node you're at.
When we hit the second
and
node,
I was basically
previous is going to head.
writing these as I was going, so this is like a pretty long paste that I ended up pasting because I was like going through, like I wasn't really, like I was deleting some of them, but I wasn't deleting most of them. I was just going through as I was iterating through my answer. And I was like writing up like parts of the code, or like what I was trying to explain before I wrote out the actual solution at the bottom.
Okay. All right. You know, since there's no point in showing your screen because it's like I can't even read it, so I'm just gonna keep playing the audio. Let me see.
Current is pointing at here. Okay. And we would save previous as well.
Okay. So fine.
So
I like that you're walking through the example. This is good. This is good.
Previous is going to equal to head, which is basically 1. Current is pointing at 2.
Okay, current's pointing at 2.
Value 2.
Good.
And what we want to do now is actually reversing the node. And in terms of how many nodes to reverse, we would basically do this b minus a plus 1 times. So in this case, we have we want to reverse node 2, node 3, and node 4. And b is 4, a is 2, so in this case it would be b minus a, which means 4 minus 2 plus 1, which would be 3 nodes.
Okay.
Meaning
you're basically talking about the number of operations we're doing. Yeah. I think this is pointless information.
Okay.
Why? What benefit is there to you saying that we need this number of operations right at this point?
I don't know. I just felt like I kind of had to explain, because I was like saying like, okay, I have to reverse the node, but I didn't. If I don't say like how long I'm gonna reverse this, then I don't know if that's clear enough. So I was trying to explain like how many operations we're trying to do this.
I see. It's your way of trying
Yeah.
to explain like what the problem does, or how you're doing the problem.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was trying, like, I was trying really hard to like convey my thoughts into words and like write everything down, and that's basically what I was kind of practicing. But you know, sometimes I end up expressing a lot of redundant things or like things that may not be super relevant or necessary. But I was just like, you know, writing everything up.
This, I mean, I get it. This is a brain dump, but it's like to me, this is a pointless. This is a pointless one. So I'll go
Okay.
with that. Like if you go, if like the way you could have summarized everything that you're doing, you could have just said,
Yeah.
iterate through the list until you hit the desired position, then reverse everything from that position to the end position. That would have literally been it, as if like I was a fucking 5-year-old child. You need to be able to explain it like that. Cause like think of the interviewer like a ADD fucking baby, you know, like
Okay.
why like he's probably like doesn't give a flying fuck about the interview. I'm gonna be honest, you know. So you make it easy for him, spoon feed him shit that makes it easy for him to say, hey, I know what you're doing. So I would say like try to explain things as a 5-year-old. Try to explain things to a 5-year-old child. Keep it simple and short. So
Okay.
each time you do something like this, try to see how you can simplify your explanation. So when you watch these replays, when you talk, think about like
Okay.
what you can say or how you can think about things in order to convey things more simply. So this is like this is a part of the communication. But if you simplify it, it will make your life easier. It'll make the interviewer's life easier. So
Okay.
okay, let's
So
keep going.
reverse operation will look something like, while current node, we are going to do temporarily save the current next and
Okay.
assign current next to previous node. Previous is going to point to current, and current is going to go to its
Okay.
original next
You're at this point
So
where
we're
basically
doing-
it's just reverse a linked list. Fine.
times. And, you know, this
What I don't, I'm trying. How do I put this in words? You kind of jump straight to the code, which I'm kind of okay with, because like the idea is very simple. In this
Okay.
in this context, I would say what threw me off is the fact that you didn't really come at me with the simple idea to begin with. Like, if we said that, hey, traverse through the node until we hit the first position, and then reverse the nodes between second and fourth. Really, all you needed was these 2 lines. If we're matter of factly speaking, all you really need is these. You don't need this extra information shit. So this saving the first node and whatever is like a little bit too much detail. I get why it's here now, but
Okay.
if you, I don't know if it's a consequence of me like not being able to see your screen when you're recording this or what, but I'm gonna say that that it's just a little bit too much information. I think that that's the difference here, is that you're giving me too much, which is fine because at least we're getting it out of your head. Now we need to simplify it down into the things that really matter. So at least we got in the
Okay.
first step. Now we're gonna go on to the next one, which is let's simplify the ideas. So let's keep
Okay.
going.
is 3 times, which all we can say b minus a plus 1 times.
Okay, fine.
Now, once we're done, we're probably going to have something like this. So we're going to have 1, and we're going to have
Okay, yeah. So you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4, and we have 5.
Ah, I see. So you start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you took the numbers, and then you started at save the head, and then you reversed everything from then on. So okay, now I get it. So then you have 5, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 2. Okay, so then you iterate from everything from the beginning to the end of the. Wait, what? Okay, you reverse everything from the second beginning to end. Okay, that's fine. So then, realistically speaking, your answer should look something more like, let's see. So if you reverse it, so then this should be, you save the head. So then second becomes third, fourth, and then, wait, you literally the thing you popped up at the end here is you reversing the entire No, it's not. What the fuck? Yeah, I think this would be the part where I would need you to literally walk through the example and manipulate this.
Okay.
This is like the part where it's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but again, it could be just.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't able to. I didn't record my screen, so it may
Yeah.
also be a little confusing because this is the end. Because I was doing like what you were saying. Like I was doing like stuff like this, and I ended up with what I have.
Okay, that's
here
fine.
now.
That's fine. For as long as you were like drawing it out and manipulating the numbers for me,
Yeah.
then I'm fine with it. I think that looking at this,
Yeah.
I would say that the issue is that like you have 4, 3, and then 2, and then as long as you remember to append the end to the 2, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I also have like the variables like at the bottom
Uh-huh.
because I pasted down the Google Doc, but I was basically like iterating. So I was kind of manipulating what I have here, and I was like changing the values here as I was going. When I was doing this like myself.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
As long as you're doing that, then I'm happy. I'm gonna be happy. Okay.
Now we,
So,
we
let's
have
see.
to do two things. So one is we have to connect the original second node to the next node in the original list, and we're going
Okay.
to connect the end of the reverse list to the previous node before we started reversing.
Okay. Yeah. As long
So
as you were
once we-
talking about
before we
that,
start
that's
reversing,
fine.
we would save, say, end of first part would be previous node.
Your fucking phone dropped.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Reverse operation, and once we're done, I believe previous is going to point to 4, and current is going to be 5.
Okay. I think I
Now, what we
understand.
want to do is the end of the first part. Next is going to point to previous node, which in this case would be 4, and then yeah. Before we do that, we also want to save the end of reverse list.
Okay. Here's what I don't like so far. Like,
Okay.
I like that you at least you put pen to paper and you ran through it. What I would have liked to see is that you flesh out this entire idea first. Like, because it sounds like towards the end, when you get to this part, you actually end up, what's it called? You end up kind of like you kind of YOLO it a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, now that I've gone through this step, what do I need to do to finish off the problem? What I would have liked you to see is really to try out the entire problem step by step. And then you figured out you needed to do this beforehand, you know? Because remember, when I did it, I literally did it in front of you and said, hey, as long as you remember to append the end to the new end of the list, then you should be fine. Like, this is the kind of instinct that you should have and acknowledge before you even write a single line of code.
Okay.
So, it's like that's kind of like my issue right now. It's like
Okay.
when I see this, it's like you kind of flopped at the end just by kind of saying, oh yeah, well I need to remember to do this. That's okay if you make a mistake, but then what does it take for you not to make that mistake? You know, and I see this as a mistake personally.
Okay.
So okay.
Before we already have the end of the reverse list before we start reversing, because that first node is going to be the end of it, and
Okay.
so we're going to save an end of reverse list to
So this you trying to optimize on this?
before we start reversing.
Which part?
Wait, hang
I'm
on.
going to save it as current because we are traversing using current.
Okay.
And once we're done, what we can do is if end of first part, we just simply do end of first part dot next equals to previous.
Okay.
Now
So this is here.
I'm doing this check because if we're given a equals to 1, that means we start reversing from the head node, and that means we wouldn't have the end of the first part.
Sure.
And then the next thing we have to do is end of reverse. Let's see, we're gonna have to do end of reverse dot next is gonna point to current.
Yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself, but yeah, this is like this seems the fact that you just seem so unsure here at 7 minutes is just like, I would have liked for you to test the entire problem and manage your variables before you commit yourself to this. That's it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna repeat
Okay.
myself. You already know.
2, 4, correct. And 2.
And I would say like if you notice the amount of time you spent on this last part, it's like adding up to like 2. I think we're up to 2 minutes right now.
So
So that's like
the
25.
one-
That's what? That's 25% of the problem already.
That's what we have right now. So we have, let's define the function signature. We do reverse sub point this.
Okay.
We're given a, let's say L. L would be the list. And
Oh, I see what you did. Okay, so this code down here is just what you did up here. Ah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm starting to see. You're still thinking in terms of code. I really, really do not like this.
Okay.
It's like, I want you to think in terms of simple language, variables, and, pseudocode, essentially. English sentences. I think that might be what might be tripping you up. If
Okay.
you can actually, instead of like trying to say, hey, I need to reverse the linked list, just say something like connect the end of the first part to next. This is fine, but I would say if it's like try to make things sound a little bit more natural. Like imagine if I was moving shapes like an artist, you know, or like I was talking to a designer who had no fucking idea what code was, right?
Yeah.
Describe it's almost like a storytelling, you know, in plain English sentences. I think that if you can describe things in plain English sentences and describe this like arrangement, you will be fine. Like I did. I said, hey, iterate through the what's it called, the list, and then take the sub list between the two desired positions and then reverse it. Then remember to connect the end of the reversed portion to where we left off, you know, and then be able to show that with variables, and then just like kind of write out step by step with pseudocode, and then commit to the code. I think what's tripping you up here, and you'll notice this if you go back and watch your own replay, you spend like literally like 2-3 minutes on just this one part here, and it's like what 5 fucking lines of code, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like what 3 minutes out of 2-3 minutes out of 8. That's like 25%. Yeah, that's like that should be a really big inefficiency. I don't know if you caught on to that though.
No, I did. I noticed like even when I was practicing this, like I got to this part and I was like, shit, I didn't like plan this out enough. And so I kind of hit that blocker when I got there. But I was like, I kind of figured this out right now.
Okay. Yeah, I recommend you at least watch your own replay and see like, hey, what did I spend too much time on?
Like I mentioned before, we will have the previous and current.
I don't need to see the rest of this replay. This is you just like copy pasting whatever you wrote above, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. And at the bottom, I was like writing like some bullet points for each question I did.
Okay, let me see. Your reflections. Didn't do a good job conveying the idea, even though I know how to do the question. Yeah. So the way to do this is to solve it. So at least you caught on to that. You caught on to the problem. Now the next step is for you to figure out, like, why weren't you able to, what's it called, express your idea, even though you knew how to do the question. And I don't know, like, with my commentary, I think you kind of I hope you realize this, and maybe you came to the same conclusion, maybe you didn't, is to really simplify the way you talk about things and not include extraneous information. But if I didn't say that, what would you have thought? Like, what do you think the way to fix that would be?
So I was just thinking of like, kind of organizing my thoughts a little more before saying it. That was kind of what I was thinking before, before what you told me. As opposed to just like simplifying it into like English sentences that like a 5-year-old would understand. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I don't mind you doing a brain dump at the beginning, and then organizing that brain dump into simple English sentences. But because I'm trying to make sure that you don't do shit in your head, right? So if you try to simplify things in your head, then a lot of things get lost in translation. So what I would have liked for you to say, I'm actually cool with you doing a brain dump.
Okay.
But then organize said brain dump after.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what I didn't really do that well. Like I did a brain dump and like kind of like wrote out like what I thought, and I was like, okay, this is how it's gonna look like, examples and stuff. But then I didn't really like take 5 or 10 seconds aside and just to like, okay, I wrote a lot of things and talked about a lot of stuff, but how do I kind of summarize all of this and give like 1 or 2 sentences to kind of conclude like what my solution is going to be like before jumping into it. I think that's kind of what I was like really missed on.
Yeah, so like you're kind of working with a brain dump, but then it's like, to me, the interviewer, and if you look at your own replay, I think in the future, you'll be like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch your own replay?
Yeah, I did. No, I kind of had the same thought. I was like, this is because it was just like it just felt weird watching it because like I knew like in my brain I knew how to do it, but it was just like explaining it was like kind of a pain, which kind of showed like I wasn't really able to convey my thoughts like efficiently.
Yeah. So as long as like the brain dump is fine, like I said, just organize it afterwards into very simple sentences, and then that should clear up that issue. I would also say like run through the idea. So let me write that down as well for you. Run through the idea before you write the code for it. I think I might have said that before, but just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I wrote that before, but yeah. So then solution is more
So,
similar to
I-
Grokking's.
I do have one question. Like you have mentioned a few times like run through my idea
Uh-huh.
before I write the code, but like what exactly does that mean? Like does that mean like walking through an example or like manipulating like the actual input and
Mhm.
kind of talking through it and having variables and like changing them as I go through an example? Like
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, so this example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I liked what you did here. You said you had a counter, and you had the variable, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like once you got there, once you got to the point of like iterating and then you reversed the list, you just kind of said, "Oh yeah, let me go write the code for that right now." I want you to do the follow through. What happened afterwards, you know? And then you said, and then you once you actually wrote the code, you went back to the entire thing and said, and you realized you need to attach the end, right? And so you spent a
Yeah.
lot of time trying to figure that part out. That's kind of like the part that's a little bit risky to me, because for one, it's like you can get caught up in a lot of details just because of that. And you saw how much
Yeah.
time you spent. I think that if you had just actually just completed the exercise of like, hey, let me just design this thing start to end, and then just like write down my ideas as I go, and then organize it, then I think you would have been in a little bit better shape. But I mean,
Okay.
and technically in this case, it's a little bit okay, because the reversal of that list and then appending it to the end can technically be thought of as 2 simple steps. So it's not that bad in the context of this particular problem. The problem is that when you run onto dependent steps later on down the road. So I would have liked for you to like not just like run through a portion of the idea, run through the full idea. At least say it, and get the idea out of your head. Because once it's out of your head and you've written it, you've kind of written it down in plain simple sentences, then it's easier to turn that into code. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to like at least give that a shot. If it doesn't work, then we can adjust. But I want you to do that. So then you wrote this thing. My solution is more similar to Grokking, but EPI's is cleaner and shorter. So what did you notice about their solution, and what did you notice about your solution? Like what specifically was the case here?
They kind of did it almost like pretty different. Like I saved like the the end of the first node and as well as like doing all those like attaching in the end. But they APIs simply had like a simple loop, and it had 3 variables, and they just kind of assign reverse it and assign the variables new values, and they were just able to return that answer in the end. Like they didn't have to do all the stuff I did in the end, like the whole attaching and stuff like that.
Okay,
They
I'm
just
gonna.
basically reached they reached the first desirable node, and then they just started assigning stuff again and again, and they just returned the result.
Okay. So if we go to this exercise, I'm looking at the answer right now from them. If start equals finish, no need to reverse, and start equals finish. Yes. I would say that's something you probably should test for.
Yeah.
But their steps are overall the exact same.
Yeah.
But the only difference between your solution and theirs is, like you said, the end here, right? So then the question then becomes, what does it take to make your your solution look like theirs? What does that take? It probably means running through the entire problem. Because like you said, like if we like the fact that we broke this up into 2 independent steps is really what kind of causes you to not get to this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you had the steps, like you were pretty close, like you got the answer. Don't get me wrong, but it's like if you had just like went through it and you just kind of what's it called, and you actually like thought through like what each step means, and then just realized, hey, wait a minute, at the end I can just remember the dummy head, and then just return the next of it instead of like trying to figure out, oh, what are the different ways I need to attach this? What are the different scenarios? You would have ended up with their answer. So it's like, so the next question is, why did that happen? Like, why did you have to finagle with the end result? You see how I'm like reverse engineering it?
Yeah.
This is an exercise I want you to do as well. When you ask these questions to yourself, why, what caused this, why? And eventually you get to enough whys to boil down to like a fundamental reason of like what you didn't do.
Okay.
Like as long as each step was reasonable, then it's fine. But then you get to a point or some fundamental factor or some step that says, hey, I could have done this a little bit better, or this step was unreasonable, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I'm not too disappointed from like based on like the difference between what I saw Monday and what I saw today. Like at least you're getting the ideas out. That's good. That's good. I want you to really keep this up. And I'm not like talking down to you. I'm like saying this is a good first step. I think you're doing great. Just keep this up. But
Okay.
do the follow up now will be organize that brain dump now that you've had it, and then run through that full idea.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
One thing too, I didn't know that the Java version is different, but you told me to do chapters like 6 to 9. Should I be doing 5 to 8 instead?
I guess so. Yeah. It's whatever.
Because I was pretty surprised when you told me to do 6 to 9 because 5 was arrays, and I did mention like arrays is like one of the chapters that I'm not like very good with.
But I think you should do the arrays regardless.
Okay.
Because like you said, you're not good at it, so why not do it? Let me look at your sheet again. Let's look at your study plan. Yeah. So I had to do chapter 6 through 9. Yeah. And then 6 through 9 corresponds to let's see. In my book, what does it correspond to? Yeah, I had you start out on arrays. I don't care about primitive type and bit manipulation. Those are effectively dead problems. No one does that shit.
Yeah, but mine it's basically strings all the way to binary trees.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want you to
Okay.
to do
Okay.
what's it called? The array. Yeah, arrays for sure. Strings, linked lists, and stacks and queues. Nah, I don't need you to do stacks and queues. So I'm gonna say, I'll just give you the topics actually instead of doing the chapters.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
then, so strings, array. Actually, yeah. Strings, and then linked lists. I think that should take you the end of the week easily, and so I'm going to eliminate. I don't need you to do what's called stacks and queues. So
Okay. I might actually I might try to finish it as soon as I can so I could work on recursion, greedy, and some DP because I'm gonna have to do the Amazon OA.
oh, when's that?
For next week.
Next week?
I got the OA I think like 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, so I have like a week to do it.
Okay. So then, how about this? How far are you into arrays and strings?
I already finished string. I'm like in linked list right now. I didn't do arrays yet, but linked list I'm like halfway through it.
Okay. So then let's do this. If you're halfway through the linked list, how many problems in are you? Like 6, 7?
Yeah, 6.
Okay. And for strings, did you do every single problem in strings?
I think I only skipped one of it, which was I think the IP address. But yeah, I did the rest of it. I did take a look at page 9 where it was like the priority, but I basically just did most of them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, you actually went ham on this. Fuck, nice.
Yeah, like a pretty long Sublime text file.
Yeah, I would love to see that Sublime text file, or for you to put it in a Google Doc at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm very curious about like how you practice as well. So if you share that, I can look at it really quickly in the last 10 minutes. But But yeah, let's adjust it. Go ahead.
Okay, but I definitely feel like for some problems I didn't really go like run through as much as I should. But yeah.
Yeah.
I could.
I want you to like in those practices. I really want you to practice like running through the idea before you actually write out the code for it. So it's more of practicing the principle rather than getting the answer right or getting it fast. That's it. We're trying to train that habit.
Okay.
So run through the idea and test it out. So let's see. And like you said, you have recursion coming up. So I want you to at least delay. We might be able to like, what's it called? Delay arrays. But although I'm pretty sure you're most likely going to run into arrays actually.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to balance.
Sure. The only thing is just I'm just worried more about like greedy and DP, and I feel like recursion is like a prerequisite before I do go into DP and greedy, and I'm like pretty bad at like greedy and DP. In terms of, like,
I'm gonna say don't worry about that for now.
Okay.
It's more important to nail down like the recursion stuff. So if you need to and you feel like, oh shit, my recursion sucks ass, do some leak code recursion or tree problems.
Okay.
I would say like avoid API for those a little bit because We haven't. I mean, maybe I don't know if it's okay yet. Try some leak code, and then if you feel like,
Okay.
hey, I'm really good with these, then go to EPI.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. That well. 10 minutes left. Any questions?
No, I think going through the replay analysis kind of helped a lot because my main question was mainly around like conveying my thoughts and like getting it through
Mm-hmm.
to the other side. Yeah, and just like being able to simplify that was the main issue I feel like I was having as I was practicing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not only that. Not only that, you can actually. I would still say, yeah. The other one is the run to the full idea. I'd like to have seen you actually do that. But. Yeah. Like no problem.
Okay. But yeah, those are the main things I have. I don't really have anything else. Just trying to get through as many problems as I can.
Mm-hmm. It's about the quality practice, not about the number of problems.
Okay.
So I want you like every single time, like run through the full idea, organize a brain dump, and try to test your code test your idea before you coded it. That's it.
Okay. I'll try to record more, and then I could probably just share it with you, and then if you have time, you could maybe watch some of them. If not, then it's fine. I'll just try to record a little more.
Okay. Yeah. I'll if you have like one that you very very specifically like, hey, I'm giga fucking stuck. I couldn't figure out like what I need to improve on. Can you look at it? I can look at it pretty quickly. But yeah.
Okay.
obsproject.com. This is like what I would recommend you use. You can record your screen and you can record yourself talking, and it's gonna make the whole process so much easier.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, you still have 8 minutes left. If you have, I can give you time back, or if you have any other questions, let me know.
Yeah, I do have one question. Like, so I should focus more on like the lead code tree recursion problems, and would that would kind of like help me get into greedy and DP stuff? Is that right?
It's more like
that the plan?
I want you to do a little bit more what's called lead code, only because it's like you're coming close to online assessment, and I think I think lead code is like, okay, this is just like a spot check tool, and I really want you to spot check yourself, like, hey, am I like okay with this? Am I not okay with this? And if you're okay with like lead code recursion tree problems, then I think that you could probably dive into EPI only to like really refine that instinct. Because like you saw in EPI, like they come up with some pretty damn good solutions, you know.
Yeah. Some like they have like solutions I look at and I'm just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to come up with it.
And that's kind of the point. It's like how, like I don't know how I come up with it. What does it take for me to come up with that? You know. So, yeah, that's gonna be what I want you to focus on. Again, it's the idea of diffing your approach, not your solution.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I think we could get some time back.
All right, that's cool. All right. And
right.
then I'll check in with you on Saturday or Sunday. What's doing?
Yeah. Saturday morning, I think. 10 a.m. I believe.
All right, sounds good. I will hit you up then.
Okay, sounds good. Talk to you later. Have a good one.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we do have one more replay analysis actually, in about like 6 minutes. I'll answer some questions. Gonna get some water after that, and then I'll answer a few more in case there are others. But yeah, let's see what you guys said. Sean, if you walk over the example right before coding, would you run over the code through the example again when you are done? Yeah, just to make sure I'm not completely crazy. You know, because some things get lost in translation. You know, it's like even though the idea might work, the idea seems like it works. You put code in, then you might have some mechanical mistake, like, oh, I forgot to do a null check here. I forgot to do XYZ here. So personally, I would come up with an example, try it out against the idea, and then the example itself. Because, you know, when you come up with a high-level idea, you kind of get killed on implementation. That's kind of true in engineering in general. So I would highly recommend that you actually run through the example. It also shows care for details. So that's kind of like something I would really recommend to people. Other one. Are DP problems less common nowadays? Yeah, because there's this trend in the industry to like really delete codify yourself. I don't know if that's a fucking word, but it's like there's so many complaints about people saying, oh, it's just practice leak code and shit, you know? And so a lot of companies really want to put this more like a what's it called? A how to describe it? Hey, we want this to be an actual engineering problem solving exercise that adequately reflects what you do in the real world. And so, in order to do that, they want to come up with more simpler problems that are a little bit more logical. At least this is the trend I see. I mean, of course, your bread and butter is going to be these data structures and algorithms. But to me, like, if you already understand how to properly evaluate and engineer things, then leak code doesn't actually fucking matter whether or not it's leak code style stuff or it's not. So to me, it's kind of like pointless, but that also does mean there's a little bit of an advantage where dynamic programming is not asked as much, but you should still expect to succeed in 1 out of 10 problems. That's at least my take. Okay, Juan says, hi Edbert, regarding to preparation time, 6 months can be counterproductive by being too much time. Yes and no. Yes, it depends on how much you have to learn. Like, if you have to, like, really learn all the stuff from system design from scratch, then yes, it can be a little bit counterproductive. But to me, I'm always a big fan of giving yourself enough time and then consistently practicing, you know? Because, like, it's like the question of would I rather have more time or less time? I'd rather have more time, just in case, like, there's something that's not clicking with me so I can get the help I need, or I can spend more time on this one topic that I originally thought. Like, right now, we're working with him, and we're scheduling out for 6 weeks. Now, I would have liked to make it 8 weeks, personally, because, you know, this is, like, aiming for 12-1 is a little bit tight, you know? Working just 6 weeks on these things, you can see, like, there's still, like, a lot of things for me to work on with him. So it's kind of, like, a little bit iffy if we'll make it. So, like, 2-3 months would be great. 6 months is just, like, if you want to go at a slow pace and you really want balance in your life. This is the way that I describe it. Like, if I look at his study schedule, you'll see, like, we literally spend fucking 4 hours. Like, yeah, 4 hours on the weekday, and then this like 7, at least like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, like 9 hours on the weekend. This is like no fucking balance whatsoever, and we're trying to make it to 6 weeks to 3 months. So if you want balance in your life, I think that giving yourself 6 months of runway is okay. So let me get some water. Actually, I'll be right back. All right, let's see. When you run over code, how often would you skip steps? For example, for a linked list problem like that, it's simply easy to go to a specific point. But for something like a tree problem, how would I run into it? Because I think I spent a little too much time on walking through tree traversal step by step during my last interview. Yeah, it's like, it can definitely feel like that. And really, this is an exercise to make sure that you really understand and can do it. So it's like, you start skipping steps when you know you can backtrack and actually do it. And you already know what to look out for. So it's like, you start slow, then you can move faster, and start skipping steps. It's about building that up, you know? And what most people actually do, they just jump straight to running, you know? You crawl, walk, run. Most people just straight run, and then they wonder why they fall down. It's when you know you can actually go through it step by step, and you know what problems can occur if you do things like one way or another. It's knowing already ahead of time how these things are going to play out, you know? And this walking through the traversal step by step is like more of an exercise to say, hey, I know how this works. I have a general pattern and feel for it. I don't need to keep doing it through every single example and thing that I am doing. But I mean, personally for me, even during the interview, I will still do at least a portion of the example for my traversals. Like, especially if it's trees, I'll say I'll do that stack trace actually. And as long as I get the pattern and I understand what to look out for, then I'll just stop the traversal and just say, hey, yeah, I'm good. I know how this works. I'm ready to write the code for it. It's like once you know how the pattern works and it's kind of like you can think ahead and it's like, I know how to handle this, then you're ready to write the code. But, that comes with like a lot of practice. So With that, let me actually bring on our next guy.
Recording in progress.
Let me bring up a sheet. Hey man, what's up?
Doing good, Bert?
Hey, I'm doing good. You?
Doing good. A bit nervous. A bit nervous.
Why is that?
I just hope. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, honestly, I don't know. I guess that's just hopefully my light performance is okay. Like essentially during the replay. So.
All right, let's see. Yeah. So I'm bringing up your sheet. I sent you some YouTube videos. I told you to walk through your idea. Told you
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah, let me share with you kind of. I created like a folder for the problems I was doing. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to link to that if you can put like a Google Doc on that or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you have your interview. I gave you have the practice diary. Great.
Yeah, the practice diary, I uploaded one problem which I felt that I didn't get the correct the optimal solution for. That's the one I ended up kind of like reviewing and doing the replay with.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let me know when you have it. Yeah, I'm gonna look very briefly. Since we last talked on, I see that you've added 2 problems.
There should be. It should just only be one actually.
Oh, just the one
because
at
the
20?
interview practice diary, I'm using it for the ones that I didn't get correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I see that you didn't do like the zigzag traversal. Is that the one we're gonna be looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
The zigzag traversal. Sorry, let me share. Yeah.
Oh, I need to request access.
Okay, I'll just.
I already requested, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me just send it to you in the chat. This is like the folder and request access for sure. Yeah, I was just going over the zigzag traversal, and here's the actual one. You want the video of it as well?
Yeah. Did you upload it or?
I didn't know I was supposed to upload it to YouTube. I just have like a Zoom recording.
Okay, you have a Zoom recording. Yeah. In the future, upload to YouTube or send me the video. Okay. So I see. You have a drive and then you have a dock. Let me go ahead and request act. Let me get.
Yeah, this is I'm using like my company's
Okay. I requested access on that one.
Okay.
I need to request access to your drive too. Requesting access. All right, I see. Got it. Okay, great. You have a Zoom. Nice. Okay, this works.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. Let me see this. Did you? Okay, you screen share. Okay, perfect. Sharing started.
Yeah.
All right, so start timer. Sure. Okay, so you're doing a zigzag traversal. Okay, problem statement. Wait, why does it start at 14 minutes?
Wait, it does?
I'm looking at the transcript right now, and it says you start talking at 14 minutes.
Oh yeah, I wasn't talking like I think originally
Okay.
in these videos because primarily for like I noticed that when I like do these problems sometimes like I talk a lot and like nothing really gets like actually put down or written down, so I was just like forcing myself to kind of just like write, I guess. So
Okay, that's fine. It's okay to talk and write out as long as eventually it gets to the paper.
okay,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's really hard for me to like really judge your thoughts.
okay,
Because like it's very hard. But let's see if I can reverse engineer it. So, given a binary tree, populate an array, blah blah blah. Okay, so such that you zigzag through 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you're basically iterating through each row of the what's it called, the tree.
yeah, yeah.
That's fine.
Basically, yeah.
By levels. Okay, so breadth first search pattern to traverse. Okay, sure. This does look like a breadth first search. I do agree. At each level, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can speed up 2 times. Yep, there we go. At each level, initialize an array. I mean, if it's just typing, I'm just gonna try skipping ahead to when you have all the thoughts written out.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Initialize BSS pattern using same array from 2 at each level. Pop here. I might as well share my screen while I'm here. So,
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna ask like.
yeah. There you go. Yeah. So I'm looking at this. Initialize an array. Put its root node into start. Using the same array from 2 at each level. Pop the nodes from the array and record the values and push the global results. Have a flag that switches between levels to switch up the direction the nodes get popped. Push the children of the pop nodes into an array from the previous steps. Okay, at this point, your idea is very complicated. I would run through an example.
I see.
Let's put
Okay.
it this way. Let me put it this way. Until you tell me, like consider it from the interviewer, and I think I said this to the last guy as well. Like you have an interview, or who's only paying half attention to what the fuck you're doing, right? And the rest of the time he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
and the rest of the time he's kind of like jerking off or whatever fuck he's doing. But so make it easy on him. Say exactly what you're doing and make it like as if you're talking to a 5-year-old child with ADD.
Okay.
Okay, using a BFS pattern to traverse the tree is fine. Initialize an array and put the root node into start. Cool. Using the same array, okay, at each level, pop. The thing is that at each level is already very weird because are you talking about the root node or what?
Yeah,
Like pop the node from the array and record values. Okay, have a flag that switches between levels. See, that's already there. Why is this flag even here?
So I think like what happened was like I had the thought in my head, but I overcomplicated it with like I wanted to be as like explicit as possible.
Uh-huh.
Like when I'm like going through each step, so that because I was thinking like, oh, if I just have like each of these steps kind of as detailed as possible, there's no kind of like vagueness when I'm writing the pseudocode.
Okay. You have the same problem as the last guy. I don't know if you were on stream and listening, but you basically this details. I don't know why it's there. Why is this flag here? You know, like what purpose does it serve? Like look, I want you to look at this as well. If you're looking at it from my perspective and you didn't know how to do the problem, or like you knew the solution. I mean, now that you've done the problem, what do you see here?
I think like for step 3, I honestly could have just like cut it down to like much shorter. Like something I could have just done is just like at each level, you know, pop the nodes from the array, and push the global results and have maybe A as like a separate step rather than have it as like 3A, perhaps. Because I think the introduction of the flag, like, is something that I know in my head, but like to the interviewer, they might just be like, what does this kind of like mean essentially? But I think I tried to explain it, but it's not like I think definitely if you look at the videos, like I go back in time almost to like put that step in there a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep running it. But it's like, okay, this one's a little weird, but it's like, all right,
Okay.
fine. I would say that if I was going to try correcting myself in the future, I would literally just say, I would literally just try to explain this as simply as possible. In the error case, I'm gonna bet that you are gonna just record the nodes from the array and then from each one of those nodes, you're gonna populate the what's it called, the fucking array again with the children. That's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah, essentially.
So this flag here, like switching up the directions, is like it almost doesn't even mean anything. In fact, you could probably just do this with a heap, or like not even a heap, a priority queue. Well, actually, it double linked depends on what you're writing in Python, whatever. But you're right, array, linked list doesn't matter. Just basically, if I had to describe it in very simple terms, I would say put any node into the list, DQ all the elements, iterate through all the elements in the list, and then record all their values and put that list into the master list, and then iterate again, grab all their children, put that into the list, and then kick out all the previous levels. That's it. Like, notice there, like, did that make sense? Let me ask you that.
I'm not really. I mean, I think I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think no, it makes sense because it's like that kind of logic is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing is like the way you speak it is like so casual that like sometimes I have to like really like kind of go into that zone real fast to kind of like keep up. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm very casual about it because it's very easy for people to understand.
Right.
But
okay.
the moment you like tweaked it and you didn't have to like say what the fuck do you mean by this, you just have to say, hey, let me chill out for a hot second and lower my vocabulary. And it's like, oh, it instantly makes sense.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely.
And keep in mind, like the interviewer is going to be like that too. I'm like, the interviewer is going to be like what the fuck, man? I literally don't give a shit. I just want to get on with my fucking day. I'm here like interviewing this guy. I don't even know if he's going to be good. So bring it down a level and just like don't worry so much about like looking technically smart. Just make sure he understands the idea.
Okay, got you.
And I think it will help you like express your ideas better.
Okay.
Okay, so Bruce none. Yeah, sure. Return none. I'm pretty sure I wrote in your doc to at least test your idea first. Let's see.
Yeah, so that's actually something I kind of realized while watching this video. I was like, so the reason I kind of picked out examples because I went through the pseudocode like 3 times actually, and I feel like that's probably not the greatest idea.
I mean, it's fine. I would have tried testing this idea first, but it's like, okay. I mean, I would have liked for you. This is not really pseudocode, but like, let's see what you do.
Okay, for sure.
I mean, I think it's okay for now. I mean, like technically, as long as you ran through this idea up here with the original, then you're fine. But then it's like this flag is what's gonna trip you up. I think if I had to bet, I'm gonna bet like $10 right now that flag management is gonna kill you. Am I right?
Yeah.
Was I right? Let's see. I'm curious.
I'm laughing in pain, honestly. But,
It's okay. Pain is weakness leaving the body.
I mean, yeah, fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're iterating through the queue. Fine. I still don't know what this fucking flag does, but okay, keep going. See, okay, that's a little bit of time lost there.
Yeah.
You said have a flag that switches between levels to switch up the direction node gets popped. Okay, you pop left. Oh, I see. Directions with it. Okay. Now I understand what the direction nodes gets popped. It's like, are you popping from all the nodes that you, from the left or from the right? But the question is, why does it matter if it's from the left or from the right?
Yeah, so I think the original idea that I had was like, oh, since it's reversed, right? Like the way we do it originally with BFS is like it's stored like in that order, right? But by popping it right or like left, it like I'm able to store it in that like kind of like array before we push it up in that reverse order, and that's where like the flag came in. But like as you can see later on the video, the flag part, I didn't think about that idea, like I didn't test that idea first, and then that's what ends up I think like tripping me up, so to speak. Yeah,
I literally just said like fucking like the flag is gonna kill you because it's not, there's no reason it should be there. Like I didn't even have to look at you writing the rest of the code to know that. So
Yeah.
the takeaway here is that every single piece of code is a liability, and there needs to be a reason why it exists, why it's written in there. Otherwise, it's just like extra dead weight, you know.
Okay.
So what I would have liked to see here is at least for you to at least try it out. You know what I mean? Like fucking how do I describe it? For you to at least run through it with like some very bare bones data structures, like say, hey, this is like the elements in my queue. You know, draw it out like as if like they're fucking like going through a diagram, and then
Okay.
you know like just like what the basic values are. That's it.
Gotcha.
I would like to
Okay.
see that before you actually commit yourself to the pseudocode. Because right now your pseudocode is looking like code to me. So
Got you.
that's kind of the problem here. So this step should have come before. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Okay, you're coming up on the first time you actually talk now. I personally would have, yeah. If I were you, I
Yeah,
would.
no,
I would end with you talking.
Just, I noticed when I record and if I talk, it ends up like, how to put it this way. Sometimes I'm in a coffee shop and when I talk, it's just people stare at me weird. I mean, I know I shouldn't care, but like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
who gives a fuck? There's a bunch of crazy fucking people out there, and all you're doing is just like if they like the worst thing is that the fucking barista will say, "Hey, yeah, can you keep it down?" Like, okay, then you shut the fuck up, you know. But it's like, if no one's bothering you, then who the fuck cares?
that is true, Edbert. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes through twice. So flags, false.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's around here where I realized.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, okay, he's finally start talking. All right, let's actually see.
Flags, false.
Holy shit, you talk so quietly.
Right, so 3.
Okay, let's
Yeah, it's I wait. What time is this? Oh, this was actually last night. Oh,
see. Okay, it's last night. Okay, I can see why. Yeah, you probably have housemates or some shit.
Yeah. 3.
It's kind of
House Republican. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to skip to a part where that's actually relevant. Fuck.
Children.
Yeah, I don't know like what you're doing,
Order.
like what you're talking about here. I think I said for you to do these problems as if you were like talking to an actual interviewer, right?
No, I mentioned like sometimes at the coffee shop that I don't talk.
Okay, but this is like last night. Were you at the coffee shop last night?
No. This was just at my desk. So
Okay.
but
So you don't. Okay.
yeah. But I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do that next time.
Okay, sure. Let me write that down for you just so you don't forget. Okay. Yeah, so I guess since you're talking to yourself.
Wait. By replay, do you mean like when I'm actually doing the problem, or is that just when like I'm recording?
Either or. I would say that for when you're doing the problem, it's okay to kind of talk to yourself, but then it's like when it comes to the actual interview, when you're doing this, I think it's very useful at least to do it for this.
Okay. So when I'm doing the problem then, because this is me doing the problem and I'm not talking.
Okay, I mean, it's like it's a little bit harder for me to give you feedback because
Okay.
it's like, but it'd be helpful in the future if you actually do, like for these replays, at least talk as if you were talking to an interviewer. And for the rest of the problems, it's up to you. But personally, I would just say, hey, at least.
So by replay you mean like what we're doing right now is replaying over what I did. Okay.
No, like yeah, like for instance, let's say you're doing the problem, like you're doing a practice problem, right? I want you to pretend like an interviewer is in that room and you're explaining how to do that problem to the interviewer.
Okay. Got you.
Okay. So,
I thought you meant like do the replay when I'm, because I also film myself going over this video.
I want to see that as well.
Okay. Got you.
Because how can you judge a replay if it's just like you saying like random shit? All you're doing is like the only thing you can judge is you writing stuff.
Okay.
So if you could at least also put some like words in there and talk as if the interviewer's in the room, it makes it a whole lot. There's a whole lot more material to critique, and it makes it easier to improve. So.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume that the rest of this is just like you
Please,
doing random
children.
stuff. Like I just talk about random things. And so for me, it's kind of hard. Again, it's kind of hard for me to judge.
Right now, the way we're penning it is gonna be. it would be almost in like reverse order, you know, because we're popping from right.
Okay, I think I understand what there's like some more issues here. Yeah, it's because you did now. It's this is the cart leading the horse. So you're using your code. You're running through your code to run through the idea, but you never tested your idea to begin with. So that's why you're struggling here. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Like what I'm seeing at least based on like what I can derive from what you're doing here is like you're trying to run through this example here, right? But you're using the code to test to go through it, and then you're saying, hey, does this kind of look right? You know, which is fine if you had done that whole exercise to begin with and it matched up. You know, like for instance, if you like ran through this tree here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 against your idea originally, then use the code to verify that you ended up with the exact same thing. That'd be the correct way of doing it. But what you're doing is like, I think this idea works. I'm gonna write the code for it. Then I'm gonna use the code to validate my idea when it should be it validate my idea. You know, it should be the other way around. You validate the idea, then you write the code for it.
Okay, validate idea, then write code for it. Okay,
Yeah.
validate idea. Okay.
Because like, how do you know your idea even works?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what happened was like I think this kind of like the methodology that we're seeing right now. It like writing the pseudocode and whatnot, like it passed like the examples for like some previous problems. So I was just like kind of following that format. But here it failed, yeah. So
Yeah. So it's like again, like there's also like why you have this flag. This flag is just dead weight, and it's because you never tested the idea. So it's like right now you can start to see like how these little misplays, or I call them, or mistakes, just end up kind of like creating this situation that you're in right now. Like honestly, this testing should have taken you less than 5 minutes. You could have been done with the problem in like at 20, 25. But I think you're going to be done with the problem by like 30. In fact, you could have been done at 20 actually. Now that I think about it, yeah. Yeah, see now a flag and node left, a flag and node right. This is like, this flag here is completely unnecessary actually. I think.
well, that's actually really interesting. I didn't think about like the flag part was the thing that was slowing me down.
Yeah, see, look at it right now. Look at what you're doing. Are you thinking about the flag right now in this situation?
Yeah, so what essentially happened is like I noticed that the way that I was implementing the flag, right, the children would be stored out of order, based off of the way we're like popping, right? It's like I have the pop left and then like pop and whatnot. And then so because of that, I was like, okay, if the children are going to be out of order, then maybe it's the way I'm appending it. But like I think now that you mentioned that, you know, the flag was that weight, I was kind of not necessarily stuck on the flag idea, but because I guess went into the pseudocode and was debugging the pseudocode, it's like I couldn't get out of that way of thinking, because the optimal, I think I was actually on the right train of thought in the sense of like I knew that maybe I was pending it incorrectly, based off of like rocking and whatnot. But I think because I had the flag there and I didn't kind of test that idea first before writing the pseudocode, I just couldn't get to the optimal solution part. If that makes sense. And then so the solution I ended up coming up with was like I introduced like another data structure in the end, and then still use the flag to kind of like reverse before I pushed it up. But the thing with that is like reverse is O of n time, right? And then so I just felt that that wasn't optimal. Plus I'm introducing like, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't as clean as it could have been.
Correct. Let me guess. The optimal solution was like, even though you like, I have the leak code problem up here, right? So 30, 29, and then 15, 7. The optimal way, what they did is like they loaded it up, and then they added the children in reverse order.
I believe, I think, no, they actually, let me just double verify real quick.
Because if it's like, they probably had, like, they maybe had a flag, but there's probably a flag for like right to left. So they would do like,
they had a flag in terms of adding the current node value to like that current the current level, kind of like that temporary array that like takes the level. So that's what they used the flag for, and it was like append or append left depending on that flag.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it'd be like, hey, for 3, I have right to left, right? So then I'm going to add 20 and 9, and then I'm going to have a flag here, and I flip that flag when I'm done. And then the next time I take elements out the queue, which is 20 and 9, I'm going to append right or whatever fuck it is, you know?
Yeah.
So so it's like this here is kind of like dead weight, the fact that you're kind of doing it like this and patching and praying. So it's like, it's one thing if it's properly thought out, right? But this flag here was not. So you kind of see here, like, if you had just run through the idea and actually just tried it out, you don't run into this issue.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the reason why I kind of wanted to go over this problem, or specifically I like wrote it down, was because I go through like 3 iterations of the pseudocode.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like at that point I was like, yeah, I feel like I don't. And even though I came up with a solution that I felt like worked, like it took long.
The approach was very ugly. And so like you said, you're iterating over and over and over again. And you're just like, the question is, why? Why were you iterating over and over and over again? Well, the idea, it didn't work, right? Well, what caused the idea to not work? You didn't test out the idea.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Yeah.
So it's like, so you kind of, and I think you kind of got a sense of it once, like I kind of mentioned, hey, is the flag dead weight or not? It's like, oh yeah, I did it. Just like you kind of came to that realization yourself as well. So
yeah.
Okay, let's see. If flag, I'm gonna just fast forward through this because like, oh, this is just you like ramming your head through it, just trying over and over again. Because this is not gonna, like change your. It's not gonna help that much, honestly. If I talk about this, is that our goal is to avoid this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what part do you get to like the replay?
If you look at, let me see. In the zigzag, I actually kind of made some timestamp notes. In the zigzag, like I think on page, what is this? Page 6.
I'm in your what's called doc right now.
Yeah, page. Oh, if you open up zigzag traversal, here, let me just send you the. Google
Yeah,
doc.
I don't think I'm invited to that. Oh yeah, it's a different doc, right? Send it to me again.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, zigzag traversal. Okay.
Let me
Cool.
I put down
see.
notes. Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, let me actually look at your notes here. Okay, yeah, this is great. Okay, I don't need to see the rest of it. Well, actually, maybe I do, because I see here that you do like some tests. Yeah, this is great. You running through this is great. I want you to do this, like what I'm seeing here. I want you to do this like fucking like 20 minutes, like 10 minutes ago. You
Okay.
if you could do this with just the idea without relying on the code to express it, this is like would have saved you so much time and grief. You easily could have like if you ran through the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat what I did? What did I do right?
So look, I'm looking at your doc right now.
Yeah.
And look at my screen. I see
Okay.
you're actually going through the loops. You're seeing like what the fuck the values are.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I want you to actually do this from the idea itself. And someone in the chat actually says they want me to go over the idea with an example from myself. So like if I were you, let's say I had this problem, right? And then let me go to the doc here. I think it's a good idea if I show you how I might do it as well. So then let's say I had a zigzag order, right? And then I would say, hey, yeah, I would run through the first example that they gave me. So let's copy paste the example. So let's say that this is Edbert's example. So zigzag
Wait, can the
traversal.
people watching see my like name and whatnot?
No,
or-
I covered it up.
Okay, sick.
If you look at the stream, I literally have my fucking camera over it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not watching any stream, so sorry.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
fine. Anyway, so I have this here. So it's like I see 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm walking through this. So I see like I'm drawing that line like 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I see that. And then 1, 1, 7, 9, 10, 5, 17, 20. Okay. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is like, okay, so I know that I need to, like I said, I would identify BFS first, right? Like you did. And then after that, I'd say, okay, well, it's not strictly BFS. I need to, except I need to alternate the order in which I traverse every other row, right? So this is the next thing. I was like, and so this one would mean like, okay, well, I have a flag. I think the flag is going to be, what's it called? Unavoidable. And so because of that, I'm going to say, okay, so then so let's say I would go straight to the general algorithm. Add a node to a queue, dequeue the entire queue, and then for every element I dequeue, add to a temp list, I would do this, add to temp list, and then add the children to the beginning of the queue. So what, like yeah,
Should be
something
the
like
end
this,
of the queue,
based
right?
off or end based on flag, and
Okay.
then after I'm done with that, and then add the temp list to the based on flag, and then at the end flip the flag, add the temp list to the beginning, or say master. Let's say master answer, and then repeat until all nodes are traversed through the tree. This is the way I would have done it. So then after that, I would say, okay, so let's run through this example. So add a node to the queue. So I'd say 12, right? And then dequeue the entire queue. So then 12, or say for every element, I dequeue. This one would just be a qualifier for the next statement. So I'm going to dequeue 12, add, so then our temp list, that's a queue. Let's say this is our queue, right? Temp list will be now 12, and then for every element based on a flag, right? So then I'll just add flag, let's say right now its value is true, so then it'll be like add right to left equals true, and then based on that, if RTL is true, add right to left, so then I will add 1,7. Great. And so I know I'm going to start off with RTL being true. So then now that I say that, oh yeah, I need to add that flag at the beginning, so flag, which is RTL, which is equal to true at the beginning, and then after that, so now my queue looks like this. Then I'm going to flip the flag so that RTL will now be false, and then add temp list to master answer. So master will equal to 12, and then reset, and then I need to add the reset, clear the temp list. Reset temp list. So then my temp list now is here. You see how, like, even though I have the basic idea, I'm continually adding to it the little details that I need as I encounter them. And so I'm going to do the exact same thing for the next one. I think, you know, and then I'll probably add as well, like, right to left, and then just DQ from the end, otherwise DQ from the beginning. And then you kind of see, like, here, that's the foundation of the algorithm. And I know if I convert this to code, it's going to be a lot cleaner than, like, having to go through, like, your flag. So you kind of see how this works?
No, yeah, I guess one question I do have though is like it's I don't know if it's just because like you're like mad good at these problems. I mean like or what I mean to say is like you are able to like essentially like I've noticed like you're able to start something like super bare bone, right? And then run through the example and then like is simultaneously like you're able to change the example and like the algorithm like concur like almost like sequentially, right? It's like you change the example and then you realize like, oh, I need to flip the flag, right? And then you add that to the code. Like I think for me it's like I kind of like, how do you get to that kind of like level of like understanding almost? Is it just through practice? Like,
it's really just accepting that you're not as smart as you think, and that you need to start things very simply and then iterate over it. That's it.
okay.
I admit I'm not fucking smart. All I know is like, okay, I have a general idea. Let me write that general idea out, and then let me test it, and then fill in the implementation as I go. Because I know this idea works for like most of the crazy shit, right? At least for 90% of the happy cases. And then I'll think after I get done with the happy cases, I'll try thinking of the sad cases, the really crazy ones, the single nodes, the null nodes, the whatever the fuck I got going, you know?
Okay.
And then here, like, these kind of beg their own questions, like, well, how are these nodes organized? Are these, like, binary trees, or do I need to add, or is it, like, a list, or, you know, these, like, things are, like, the small potatoes of it, you know? Because, like, I say I'm adding children based on from the right to left or left to right. Well, the question is, are they in a list, or are they a binary tree? Does that mean that I need to add, but that also mean, that doesn't really matter that much, because considering, like, if, let's say my statement would look like something like this. If RTL, then I would say, node dot right, and then I would say list dot, or say q dot add node dot right, q dot add node dot left, and then else q dot add node dot left, q dot add node dot right. You know, this is like a small fucking I don't care. It's a small little detail that I can do whatever the fuck I want. You know.
Okay.
It's insignificant compared to like getting the core algorithm down.
Right.
So don't worry about like the fucking like small ass crazy shit that you need, that you are like, you're obsessing over like the wrong details. So
okay, gotcha.
So but you see, like here I was able to like really do it easily. I think I've seen this problem before, but I don't fucking remember it, to be honest. But yeah, like the point here I'm trying to illustrate is like just start very simply.
Okay, Got you. And it's like what was it? Fuck. What did you say in the beginning? Oh yeah. So it's like before writing the pseudocode, like test it out, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. With the fucking examples of that, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and stuff like that. Like maybe run it through first. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Like I'm not even coming up with my own examples. I'm literally just using the example that was given.
Oh no, yeah, definitely, I know. Yeah.
So
that's what I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly, it's like yeah, it's really just that simple. But and you kind of saw this idea. Like I'm doing everything. It's like I'm stating what my idea is. I noticed this. I noticed the Bradford search. All I did different was really put pen to paper and say, hey, yeah, this is the idea, and I iterated over it when I ran through the example and added details as I needed.
Okay.
I didn't need to write anything in Python.
Right.
Yeah. So it's yeah. So then I see here that you're running through it. I think you started like running through like 22, right? Or 23 and a half. Yeah. And then you start finagling with the end, I think, between... Yeah. So you just basically... I always say I probably started around 15... Not 15, no. Yeah, I'm going to say like basically about 8 minutes of it is just you finagling with it each time. And then 5 minutes testing. Yeah, that pretty much adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I'm just kind of jumping around because I don't need to look at this again. Like, I don't need to see you, like, iterating over it. At this point, it's already pretty much game over because it's like you're wasting so much time. There's nothing to learn from doing all this. So let's see, like, what your notes look like. Okay, let me copy paste your evaluation.
Okay.
So, okay. And in the future, I would definitely try doing things at least on this doc. But, or at least a homework. Actually, homework doc is fine, actually. Okay, so 6:30, why did I go back to the example? Was I unsure about my original thought process? Was I going back to example rather than the steps I wrote out? Perhaps I was doubting my approach. I need to wait and make sure my logic is correct. Before writing out the pseudocode, or maybe write the pseudocode and make adjustments after I run examples of the pseudocode. Yeah, write out the pseudocode and then make adjustments, like kind of like what I did, you know? Like, obviously, I didn't pick up every single little detail I needed to, but, like, I already had the broad strokes.
Yeah. No, yeah, looking through the recording, like, really fucking humbles you, because you're, like, I think at the moment, you're like, oh, dude, this is, like, going to be a good idea, but then it's just, like, it's, like you said, it's kind of, like, weird finagling / like, wasted effort, but,
It's like Apocalypse.
yeah, it's weird, like, that thought process didn't occur to me, like, until, like, looking through this failed video, like, I was like,
Did
wow.
you look at it yourself on your own time?
Yeah. No, that's where you kind of brought up like the flag kind of stuff, and also like running through the logic first, with the examples, because I think like what I did was like, I ran through my logic in the pseudocode, right, and then by that point it's like a pseudocode was already written, and stuff, so.
Yeah, and your pseudocode looks more like code, you know?
Yeah.
As for me, this is like plain ass English sentences that is like, hey, these are really abstract, but they still kind of, it's very easy to translate this to code.
Not true.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to try like that approach, I think it'd be good. Based on what I saw, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Why referring back to another web page, concentrate on the code. Yeah, derive your solution, don't look up previous solutions. Why the fuck are you doing this? This is like, okay, yeah, it's weird. Realize pseudocode doesn't work. Yeah, so in 15 minutes, so you could have saved yourself like literally like 9 minutes up here. So, so then the question you would need to ask is like how to avoid this. Like, how can you make sure your pseudocode works on the first try? So this is the question I'd be asking myself if I'm doing the self-evaluation.
Okay,
they're getting frustrated. Yeah, writing down examples, stop talking. Yeah. So I think, not gonna lie, I have no idea what I was thinking at this time. It happens. Yeah, everything after like I would say 25 minutes is like pointless to look at. But yeah, like write down examples. I think that you kind of pegged it here. If you write down the examples and just tested the examples, you could have saved yourself a whole lot of grief.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? What you just said?
You kind of touched on it a little bit here. It's like write down the examples, stop talking. At least test your example. This is like you're halfway to that idea. It's like test the example. This is really what you needed to do, and you kind of like. It's good that you kind of caught on to it, but it's more so like asking yourself the whys. The why did this happen? So
Okay.
I think, okay, so then I'm looking at this difference between my solution and the optimal was optimal chose to append the nodes in alternating orders where I introduced the data structure and did the reversal at the end. Okay, this is inefficient because it introduced a potential ON runtime due to reversal. For me to have explored the optimal solution, I should have continued tinkering and realized the runtime I was introducing was costly and inefficient. Sure, it's close to optimal, but when I perhaps realized the way I was appending it was wrong, I introduced way too many if conditions I confused myself. Yes, and the question now becomes, one, why did I introduce so many if conditions? Two, why did it take me 35 minutes and 3 iterations of the code to actually get an answer? 3. And third one would be to explore, continue tinkering. Why didn't you get it done in the first 1 or 2 iterations of trying the problem? So these are the 3 questions I would literally ask myself based on the statement that I've read here.
Okay.
So it's like once you've written this, it's like this is like I want you to do a follow-up and say, hey, why did this happen?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like do the follow-up. Okay. The 3 whys. 3 why. Yeah. And then I want to see, like, I think let's see if you actually did what I asked you. Walk through your idea. This one should be. I want to see you walk through your idea before you commit to it.
Okay.
So now you saw me do it. I want you to really, really copy it. You walk through your idea before you commit. Try it on the pseudocode. Okay. And then I think that I put in like what you also need to work on. Do replays as if talking to an interviewer. Yes, I wrote that down.
Should we, or can you post this at like the top, perhaps?
Sure. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
copy paste. I'm trying to look through your sheet and make sure I
Okay.
did everything
Gotcha.
else. Look out for write the idea, avoid weird in direction with recursion. Okay, I remember we talked a little bit about like recursion naive to optimal. Okay, so it's a little different than like the problem that
Yeah.
you did today, but it's
I definitely think for BFS I'm more comfortable doing it because of like the lack of recursion. If that makes because
Okay.
it's more yeah.
Okay, so I'll paste this at the top then. So then for the let's say 1021, walk through idea before you commit. Yeah. And then I think so the recursion idea, this is the idea I want you to I even wrote it to walk through idea and follow through on it. Yeah. But at least you follow through on it. Now the idea is to try the idea before you commit to it. So.
Okay.
Okay. Overall, like, how do you feel about like the stuff we worked on, and do you feel like it helped you with your practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely like you said in your guide, right? It's like definitely like these hours are gonna suck. But I think like it's kind of hard to answer that just because it's been like 2 days, right?
Uh-huh.
But I think this level of like kind of analyzing my approach and like why I think is just something I've never done before. So I'm hoping that it's like at least useful,
Yeah.
And so I think it's definitely like helping, I'd say, but I want to see like at least for myself personally, I want to see that result kind of reflected, during like a live interview, right?
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, like it starts with practice, right? If you find that like in the past 2 days that it's been a little bit easier to solve problems by following through the problem and not like doing weird recursion indirection, then that means that at least what we're doing is working, I kind of want to see a little bit of that signal. I mean, it's only 2 days, but ideally, as like you would have, I like in my mind, ideally what would have happened is like, hey, yeah, I noticed that for one problem, or before I probably wouldn't have been able to solve it, but I made a little bit more progress in it, and I was able to do it a little bit better than I had hoped. I was hoping to hear that, but if it's too early to evaluate, then it is what it is.
Got you. Yeah, no, I think one of my fears, low-key, I think the reason why I was like a little anxious for this meeting is because I didn't want to like, be a bad student and disappoint you.
No, it's fine.
But
Like 2 days.
yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like, I want to like, I know like this is like weird me saying this, right? But like I'm mad Confucius, low-key. So like, you're my teacher, so I want to be able to like impress you, I guess. I don't know. But so to answer that question is like once I get to recursion, I feel like maybe I'll have like a more fine, I think. But I think for at least BFS though, in all honesty, it's more easier for me to kind of write out the idea, even though like in this example you didn't see, but like to kind of go through each one of the examples, which is something I never really actually did before. Testing with examples, I think I used to essentially just go through something, right? Like I would just write down the final solution and then I would test with examples. And I think you kind of saw it like with the zigzag traversal, but like it never really occurred to me to kind of put two and two together and do that. But yeah, so I think I'm on the right track in terms of approaching problems, especially for like BFS at least, in this kind of format. So yeah.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. And so I would say that just keep working on it. Again, don't worry about like the first 2-3 weeks gonna suck, but then after that, I guarantee you, after 3 weeks, you will see like significant improvement. You'll be like, holy shit, where did this come from?
Yeah, no, the crazy thing though, Edbert, is like I didn't realize like how much wasted time I would do sometimes, like in doing problems, right? Because it's like I was looking through your past videos and then like I kind of didn't realize how long some people took on a problem. I used to think you just try to solve it, and like if you don't get it within the first 10 minutes, then like or like first 5 minutes of seeing the problem, then you're fucked kind of situation.
Yeah.
But then I realized they were all taking like an hour, and I was like, I think that made me a little more like confident in like spending the actual time to review. I think the review part is something that's like, me personally, I haven't really emphasized enough, you know. So
yeah. So I just as a review, if you do this like literally, like I said, like within 3 weeks, you'll be so surprised at your own results. So
okay, got you. Yeah, no, definitely. I kind of had like a quick kind of question though, like in terms of like study schedule. So like in regards to like currently right now, I think we discussed like BFS and then DFS. And
let me pull yours up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a breadth first search, depth first search, subsets.
Yeah, so like I'm almost done with basically like BFS. I think I have like 2 problems remaining that I was going to do. I was trying to do them tonight, but like the review actually took a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, I set aside an hour for the review, so that's why.
Okay.
It's in the calendar as well, so. Anyway.
Oh no! I'm just saying like the review from my end when I was reviewing.
Yeah.
Problems. Yeah. Took a lot longer than I thought. And then DFS, I think like I should be able to get that done within a day or 2. Subsets maybe thing, but I'm kind of just worried about like the spillover from EPI actually.
Don't worry about it. This is just like you just do what you can. You don't have to force yourself to do everything. What I'm really trying to emphasize here is quality practice. If it takes you like a fucking hour or 2 to do a single problem and replay and analyze what you did wrong, that's how long it takes, you know?
Okay, got you. Okay, yeah, because I think I was just like mad, like stressed about trying to finish all of this. Yeah, so just thought I like be kind of like straightforward and stuff like that about asking about it. So yeah, okay.
That's fine. Yeah, be as straightforward as you need. It makes communication so much easier.
Yeah. Got you. Cool. Yeah, and I guess whatchamacallit, the so for when I'm doing the review, do you want me to be recording myself as well, or would you just rather prefer like I just write down my thoughts?
I want you to record yourself. Like, remember what I said. Like, I want you to treat this as if you're talking to an actual person.
Oh no, when I record myself doing the problem, I'll definitely like do that. I'm saying like when I review my mistakes, I was also recording myself while reviewing.
Oh, I think it doesn't really matter. I think it's okay. Like, these notes are good enough for me because then I already know what you're looking at.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just ending up with a lot of videos and I was like, oh shit, dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I just need you to do this like evaluation at these timestamps because we're gonna look at it as well. But as long as you get like these thoughts out and you write down every single thing that you thought or evaluated, and I can ask you, hey, why did you think XYZ? Like, for instance, why did you think that you were what's it called? Like, why did you think that you got distracted here? It's like, oh, because I did XYZ here, and I thought da. You know, as long as you can explain these thoughts here and why you evaluate yourself in a certain way, then I'm happy.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, just wanted to make sure because I didn't know if I was supposed to record me reviewing the mistakes as well. I felt like that might have been, for lack of a better term, like unnecessary. So yeah.
This is good enough. Like writing an evaluation like this.
Cool. Yeah. And then shit. Did I have? Oh, do you mind if I turn on my video next time? I don't know. It's more just for like me, I guess. I don't know.
Your call, man. It's not gonna show up on stream anyway, so it's all
Okay.
good.
Cool. Yeah. Shit. What else? What else did I? Yeah. I guess just getting through it. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Any other questions? We still have like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I can give you time back if you want, but.
Nah, it's cool. It's already planning to go to sleep.
Okay.
Let me think. Fuck. Yeah, I think also for the study schedule, this is just me kind of like shooting the shit with you, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I think for study schedule, I might shift it just purely till morning because I noticed like, well, for one, the coffee shops are open at that time and there's less people, so fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Just do it there.
Okay.
And then second thing, I guess that's really, because yeah, I just noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, but like just at night, like my thinking, like my willpower just like goes out the window after working 8 hours.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it happens to people. If you feel like you need to wake up earlier, yeah, I assume that you're probably going to start at 6 a.m. or something?
Yeah. I can do that, like change in the study schedule, but it's chill.
Okay, that's going to be like 2.5 hours of studying before you even get to the...
I can start work like later. I kind of just realized that shit today. I was just like,
okay,
because my company's going through like this weird reorg, so it's just like.
Got it. So then if you start work later, that's fine. Make sure you give yourself like enough break in between because some people do get burnt out a little bit. So I want you to like be really careful about that.
Okay. Yeah. No. I'll make a. I'm still kind of tinkering with like the study schedule a little bit, but I have been like at least ensuring, if not like 3, then like bare minimum like 2.5 or like 2. So.
Got it. And yeah, whatever changes you make, put it in like a column on the side, like highlight it saying, oh yeah, this, I actually found that, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. it works better for things here, And if you put it on the side, then I can say, oh, this is like what I put, and here's what you actually do. It helps do a side-by-side comparison.
Okay, got you. Sounds good. And this is getting really into micro detail, but like this Friday, aka tomorrow, like well, I guess essentially I'm just going out with like a friend.
Okay.
So I guess like I'll just do it in the morning. Like in terms of that kind of schedule, do I need to put that into the calendar as well? Or
just
is that...
put it as like, hey, just make a note like, hey, on Friday I did this at this time and I wasn't able to do it,
Okay.
But like if you find that it repeatedly happens, then it's something we need to fit in.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, totally same thing for weekend too, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean we blocked out like 12:30 to 3:30 ish for friend time. And if you find that you're consistently going over it, then we can adjust.
Okay.
Like, this whole thing should like be a priority, but if you find that there are certain obligations you have to meet, then you better just tell me then, and I can work with that.
Okay.
The worst thing is for you to like say, "Oh, I need to look good for Edbert, and I'm gonna hide this when and tell him I'm practicing when I'm really not." It's like it's easier for me to work with someone who's like honest about it than someone who's like dishonest and trying to impress.
Okay. Yeah. No. Totally. I get that. I'll put it on the side then because I think this weekend the friend time is going to be at the evening, so I was just thinking about like doing the work like from the 12:30 to the 3. I could just shift all that like up, and I can just do that by myself. It's like I'm not even sure if it's happening to be honest, but just to account for those kind of like fluctuations. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense, and that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else?
No, I was just kind of curious. Like I think just right now, just me like the whole onboarding process, like knowing kind of like the system and stuff like that. Now that I know that I don't have to record myself reviewing, I think that's really helpful. And then just talking during the problem so that the replay is at least like more effective. And the notes you put in the doc, I'll go through them and implement that tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
And I guess just to reemphasize, like for the study schedule, it's just kind of like emphasize like quality over like quantity, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I just realized that for the check-in, you might actually not have enough time in between what's called today's replay analysis and actually implement it on Saturday. Do you want to shift it over to Sunday?
Oh, it's on Saturday?
Yeah,
Oh,
I scheduled you for 10 a.m. Oh wait, did I schedule it for Saturday? Yeah, I scheduled you for 10:30 a.m. So let's move it to. Do you want to move it to Sunday so you have more time, or?
Yeah, I think Sunday would be good because then like that gives like a day between the next check-in, I guess.
Okay, that's fine.
Or-
I will go ahead and update the invite.
Okay.
Yeah, so that should be there.
All right.
Okay.
I will.
I'd like to make sure that this got fixed for the remaining weeks.
Yeah. Are we always going to be meeting at like on Tuesday?
Yeah, I have you reserved for that slot unless like
Okay.
you tell me that hey, you can't make it this week or some shit.
Okay, sounds good. No, just double checking.
All right, wait. Yeah, let me actually. It looks like I did.
Because it
put
doesn't repeat actually. It
Oh.
just stops on the like next week.
Okay, I messed up then. Let me go ahead and change that. Yeah, okay, and then yeah, it's a good thing we're doing this now. Okay, repeats weekly Sunday. Okay.
All right.
All right.
That should be all from my end.
All right, for sure, man. Yeah, let me know how things go and hit me up if you have any questions.
All right, sounds good, Edbert. Take care.
Take care.
Good evening.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Peace.
All right, let me. Okay, let me. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec. Let me fix up my calendar shit. Okay. Yep. Okay. I sent all the. I updated all that. Let me go ahead and answer some questions if you guys got any. But let's see. Sean says, thank you for the session. I like the VOD review format better than the live interview because you have more detailed breakdowns on mistakes instead of just notes and coming back later. I noticed myself making a lot of the same mistakes. Yeah. If you guys like this format, we will do this every Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday is gonna be like the live coaching sessions, and exercises, right? And then Thursday is gonna be the VOD reviews. So I will be streaming like every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday on this. So if you guys like really like it, let me know, and I'll keep doing it, man. I'll see if I'm looking for new ways to really provide you guys value and whatever you guys think helps the most. So, yeah. If there's no other questions, I'm gonna stop the stream for tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. I will be streaming again next week on Monday, 8 p.m., Tuesday, 8 p.m., and then Thursday, 9 p.m. So we are a little bit late Pacific Standard Time, but hopefully you guys like watch these guys improve. I think for the first week that I saw them, I think they are putting a good, genuine effort. So that's a very good sign. And yeah, hopefully you guys like follow along, and hopefully you guys learn a lot too. Awan says, following this approach of iterate slowly building a solution, it couldn't reach the answer. Is it okay to check the answer to avoid reinforcing mistakes, or quit to try again another day? I would say it's hard for me to really understand what you're asking, but if you couldn't reach the answer, I would say stop. And if you couldn't reach the answer because you couldn't actually solve it, or if it's like you can't solve it because you're burnt out, save it for another day. If you can solve it, or you just can't straight up solve it because you don't know how to and you just got like out of ideas, look at the answer and then try to derive how they got the answer. That's how I would recommend it. So with that, I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you everyone for watching, and good night.